coffee, which is probably a fucking UPF.
Oh God, I would love a coffee right now, but my coffee intake has rocketed because we've started having a coffee before Doug goes to work together, which is really nice. And it's been a really
Yeah.
nice part of our routine, but now means that I have an extra coffee
Oh,
because I
such a
still
extra
want
coffee.
two while I'm working
Yeah.
in the morning. So anyway, is that in
Anyway.
there?
Oh, I
Maybe,
don't
maybe
know.
not.
Maybe
Not
people want to
not
know
that
about it.
relevant. But here we are today asking the question that I think is sort of on everyone's lips, but also certainly in my household is probably not on our lips enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't it really isn't in our household at all. I haven't even begun to have this conversation with Dave. Certainly haven't talked about it with the kids. We talk about responsible eating, but anyway, I'm going right into it without explaining what we're talking about. Today, we want to chat about whether or not we should be worried about ultra processed foods, UPFs.
I
And
didn't even know what UPFs were, by the way.
did
When
you
you
not?
emailed me and said, "Are we talking about UPFs?" I was like, "Yeah, 100%." Had to have a quick Google. I was like, "Oh, of course. It's those. It's
Mm.
those things everyone's banging on about all the time."
So I'm terrified. I am really worried about this. But I do occasionally flit between. This is why I think this is perfect for me, this episode, because you've gone away and done the research. And what I've been doing is for the last year, since
Mhm.
UPFs became a thing, became an acronym, I have flitted between being extremely worried about it and believing that absolutely everything I eat must be some form of UPF. We were joking, weren't we, that the coffee that I'm drinking has been processed, hasn't it? Right. So,
Yeah.
but I guess
But
there is a difference between ultra processed and processed, and also flitting actually between, I mean, what the hell? It's 2025. Of
yeah.
course, food is going to be different now than it was in the 1930s, right?
Yeah.
So why is it bad for us? Why is it inherently bad for us? Surely, I bet some processed foods can be good for us. All of these
I
things.
think
Anyway.
so. From my understanding, and this has all come from research that other actual scientists have done, not anything that I've gone away and done. But from my understanding, you're right that I think there are 4 categories that
Okay.
food can be classified into, and almost all of it has been processed in some way, apart from obviously, a leek or a
Mm,
banana or something. Um,
right.
but that first category that those things would fall under is unprocessed or minimally processed. So still you have things like you have fruit and veg in there, but you have eggs, you have milk, which obviously has been like pasteurized a lot of the time and stuff. So
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess you could maybe say that there's a processing that's gone on there, but
Hmm.
and meat as well. So there's probably like healthy processing that goes on in order to make those things safe and stuff,
Yeah.
but you would classify that under minimally processed or unprocessed.
Okay.
Then you have things with processed ingredients, so oils, sugar and salt, butter, where the food itself is not necessarily a processed food, but in elements of it would have been
Right.
processed.
Yeah.
Then you have processed food, so cured and cooked meats, which actually I thought were ultra processed. Great news for salami fans out there. Cheeses, breads from like a bakery or, like a freshly baked bread,
Yeah.
salted peanuts and things like that.
Oh,
Um,
good. Good.
and then you have ultra processed, and yeah, that's I think processed. That's our category.
Yeah.
That's where we thrive. Then you have ultra processed, and that's some of the
Okay.
things that we'll probably not be super surprised to hear, because I do think it is talked about a lot more these days, like supermarket packaged bread,
Right.
ready meals, fizzy drinks, crisps, all the best things. All the
Oh.
best things, which is a bit devastating.
Yeah.
But um I've gone away and I've been having a little look, and
Okay.
I think basically the fear that we all have is, what are these things doing to us? We all eat crisps, let's be honest. We certainly do on this
Yeah.
podcast. Um, and I think it's still something, it seems like people are like, we're still learning about. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and
yeah.
I guess what I want you to tell me is
Mhm.
to, like, not be worried about all of it. I think the thing that's I think what's flagged up with me with all of the features that I've read about with UPFs, and none of it's gone in, because when I'm worried about something, it doesn't go in. Um, but one of the things I've been conscious of
Mhm.
is that if you don't recognize something on the label, that's a real big red flag for a UPF, right? So if the ingredients list an E number, something that you wouldn't find in your cupboard at
Mhm.
home, then that's worth investigating. And I definitely have, I think, consciously been trying to make little switches between, like I buy frozen pizzas for the kids, and I've changed the pizza that I get to one that has fewer ingredients
Yeah.
and better so stuff like that I've been doing a bit.
Yeah.
But tell us what we need, like, because I know that you've been doing a little bit of investigation of your own
Mhm.
cupboards. What?
I have. Well, I think the first thing in terms of like why we should be worried about it is maybe
Yeah,
something
oh,
we
yeah,
should touch on,
yeah,
because I think that with a lot of these things, like, there's the whole like seed oil panic and stuff like that,
yeah,
where people get very worked up about particular ingredients, and like, I think it's really hard sometimes to separate like the fact from the fiction, and sometimes everybody's going, that's a really bad thing, but you're
mm,
not quite sure exactly why. And I have to admit,
mhm,
I feel like that kind of was how I felt about ultra processed foods for a while. It was like, well,
yeah,
yeah, obviously I'm not expecting that a packet of crisps is like going to make me a pillar of health, but I didn't really understand what the concerns are.
yeah,
But what actually can be potentially happening to your body, um, and what scientists and food scientists are like starting to sort of connect the dots between, is that ultra processed foods can significantly raise the risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, heart attacks, and strokes. And they are a high consumption of them can
mm,
be linked to obesity, cancer, type 2 diabetes, depression, which I found interesting,
mm,
dementia potentially, and tooth decay, other problems that are maybe a little bit more obviously connected to diet.
okay,
So
okay,
there are loads of things. I think even I read a statistic where somebody had done a study that had suggested that a higher consumption of ultra processed foods was linked to earlier death from any disease. So like,
right.
there's the potential that like there's damage going on to your body there that is more holistic than just one specific
Ah,
kind of
yeah,
disease
but
or illness.
do we think that that's what I would call one of those red wine stories, that one of the evil things about UPFs is that they're cheap, right?
Yeah.
They're cheap and widely available, and which means that you've got a socio-economic issue going on here in terms of health.
Yeah.
And maybe you can't point the finger necessarily just at the evil corporations that are making shit white bread, and definitely not at the people that are buying them, but instead actually at a kind of a country in crisis that
Yeah.
is unable to afford good food, and
No, I
then
think you're so
that's
right. You're so right. Like, just the example of like, if you think about like a ready meal lasagna,
mm,
which interestingly I read is one of the more healthy ready meal options. They're not always ultra processed lasagnas, but in general, like a processed lasagna ready meal is going to be much less healthy and much less good for your body than creating a lasagna from scratch. But I think
yeah,
you're so right that like, how many people have the um like expenditure to be able to do that, the time
mhm,
to be able to do that, and the skill to be able to do that. I guess it's like that's something that is already got an assumed level of privilege if you have access to recipes and skills that somebody's taught you at some point, that you have the equipment, like,
the
I always think,
equipment,
do you know what I
that's
mean? It's like,
huge.
that's such a big
It's
thing.
massive. I've talked about that. I remember when I was fundraising for Trussell Trust, and there was some information going around then about, like, with food banks, you shouldn't be giving to food banks any food that needed to go into an oven. You couldn't assume that people would have an oven. And, yeah,
Yeah.
like, yeah, the so it's not just skills, it's
Yeah.
basic kit.
Yeah.
So it just, yeah, we had to be, I don't know, it's and that's sometimes why I go from being really scared about e-numbers, and I will flip between that and being, like, really cross at the media for doing these great big front page scare stories, and just
Yeah.
thinking, what are you doing? You're doing a scare story for the privileged few who are able to decide that they want to shop more in their local butchers rather than at a supermarket.
I 100% agree. I think that's what I was getting at with the kind of seed oil panic a little bit as well. Like, I'm not
Mm,
going to comment on the science of any of that because I don't understand it. But like, I do think sometimes these conversations are really elitist. And I still feel a bit like we're lacking in the answers. Like, if, maybe we'll have a look and see whether we can find some like, um, websites or like recipe books or something that are geared towards making some of this stuff at home so it isn't ultra processed but doing it in a cheap way, because
mm,
so often the alternative option offered will be like, oh, don't buy tomato ketchup. Instead, if you get the organic version, there's so much less
yeah.
processed stuff in there, but it's like that, it's twice the price. And when we're in a cost of living
Yeah.
crisis anyway, I do think you're completely right. It's really unfairly weighted.
It's
But
completely unfairly weighted. I also
mm,
think that there's, something to be said for adding in an additional panic. I remember reading a piece, I'm gonna get this all wrong, but I remember reading a piece that was someone fretting about if they were given the choice between something a food that was on sale that had been kind of harvested from a mile away, should they choose that or the free range option or the ethically traded option
mm,
or the kind of low UPF option, and like and it actually asked whatever the journalist to do to kind of categorize them. Like, which should I, of these, and
yeah,
I do sometimes get this with eggs. Like, I will always get free range eggs, but should I get free range organic? And again,
yeah,
is that, or should I be getting the free range ones that I know are Somerset based, right?
yeah,
Which is which is best for the world generally, or
yeah.
the chicken.
That's the thing, is like, I think the conversation is like about our bodies, and then, in the case of eating like meat and dairy, the animals, but also the environment. That's why I was quite pleased to discover this app that you were alluding to earlier.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah,
So some of this stuff I feel like is really confusing. We mentioned all the things at the beginning that are kind of classics that
yeah,
get, thrown out into the spotlight all the time of UPFs. Poor
yeah,
old supermarket bread. It's the
yeah.
pariah of the UPF community. Um, but there are loads of things that I don't understand. And you're right, S. I think what people say is like, if you see ingredients that you don't recognize particularly, or that, might be like really long words or something, to kind of
Yeah.
avoid that. But I know sometimes some of those things are actually fine. They're just like another
Yeah,
word
they're
for
just
flour or something that
yes, I was
is,
gonna say that, like,
yeah,
the words that you get for salt are quite wild, and,
yeah.
like, any kind of preservative isn't like, preservatives aren't as a thing awful always,
No,
because
they're just the thing that
preservatives
stops stuff
are
going off.
yeah, and that can be salt, it can be sugar, it can be
Mm.
it can be things that we feel quite comfortable with and
Yeah,
quite happy to put into our bodies. It's not just because it's got a number doesn't mean it's awful, I think. But anyway, that yeah, it is true. And colorings can be natural and fine,
yeah,
or they can come
yeah.
from beetles' backs. I don't know. But yes,
No,
anyway.
but I think even the Beatles backs ones are probably all right.
All
I
right,
don't
just not very
know. Depends if you're
vegan. Yeah,
vegan, yeah.
yeah.
But I was like leafing through all this stuff, and I was like, oh my God, I don't understand, and I don't even know where to begin. And am I going to have
Mm,
to clear out all of my cupboards? And
mm.
I came across this app that is called the Open Food Facts app.
Okay.
and it allows you to scan a barcode of something, and it will give you information about what that product is and where it falls on that scale of processed foods. I think it's
Oh,
called like the
okay.
Nova scale. So it will be
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, or 4, depending on where it is
What
on
and
that
what's good
process
and what's
scale.
bad? Is 1
1
good?
is unprocessed or minimally processed. 4 is
Right.
ultra processed.
Okay.
Um, and I went around and scanned a few things, and it was so
Okay.
interesting. So I first decided to scan the thing that I thought would be the worst in my house.
Yes.
So leftover from some friends coming around the other day and us doing like a sort of homemade Chinese takeaway thing. I
Mhm.
had some spicy prawn crackers from Sainsbury's in a
Right.
packet,
Yeah.
like, you know, I would have thought evilest of the evil.
Yes.
They have given me quite a poor nutritional score for these. That
Yeah.
then there's no nutritional value to them. However, I was surprised that they do not fall under ultra processed, and
Oh,
instead they are considered to be category 3, a processed food.
interesting.
So straight off the bat, I was like, hang on, I haven't got a clue what's going on here then, because they were my biggest hitter for ultra processed. It does
Yeah.
tell me why they're considered to be processed as well if I click through. So they're a salty snack. They have salt, starch, sugar, and vegetable oil in them,
Mhm.
all of which have processed ingredients. So they are not like on the nutritional score, they get a D out of A, B,
Right.
C, D, E, but actually not horrendously ultra processed. They also, the thing that
Mm.
I thought you'd be interested in that you just mentioned, they give an environmental impact score.
Oh, interesting.
So these get a green for
Oh,
that. No ingredients that threaten species in them. Hooray.
not even prawns?
Well, I don't think they've got real prawns in.
Oh, right.
And yeah, I mean, that's about it that it gives me on that. I think it's missing some information a little bit on there, but it doesn't give it any big red flags for its environmental impact, which is good.
Goodness,
Um,
okay.
then I went and scanned something that I thought would be relatively healthy, but was a packaged ingredient that had a barcode on,
Yeah.
which is for my meal box thing tonight. I do gusto now.
Mm,
And I've got like a chicken udon noodle thing this evening that
right.
is
Okay.
like high protein, low calorie, looks healthy, looks all good, full of
Yeah.
vegetables.
Yeah.
I scanned the udon noodles,
Yes.
category 4 ultra processed. I know.
No. Just the noodles on their own, or do the
The
noodles with
noodles
any
on their own. So bizarrely here, they have come up as very good nutritional quality. So I think the
right.
actual ingredients that are within the noodles are good, but I still get a poor score on them because they've
Yeah.
got this great big red ultra processed thing because they've got an E number additive in them, sodium alginate,
Oh my god, the
which is a
sodium
category
alginate.
4 ultra processed food.
What is sodium alginate?
I don't
Because
know. We'll
that
have to
sounds
look
as
it
though
up.
it might be kind of sea related, doesn't it?
It sounds like it might be just some form of salt, but it, I guess, is an ultra processed
Oh, it's
thing.
a gelling, thickening, and stabilizing agent derived from brown seaweed,
Okay.
used in food, pharmaceuticals, and industrial applications.
Industrial applications. That's not ideal.
It's known for its use in the spherification technique in molecular gastronomy,
There we
making
go.
things
Maybe that's how my noodles are so circular.
ah. It's used to treat indigestion.
Okay.
Uh, and it's also used in industries for products like textile printing pastes and dental impression materials.
I'm just quite worried about that. And actually, it is kind of mad. Like when I first started looking up about all this UPF stuff, loads of the stuff says like UPFs are not really food. Like it's quite kind to call them food. They're basically like an edible chemical creation. I know it's
That's
kind of mad, isn't it?
scary.
So,
Yeah.
bit devastated about that. I will still be
Yeah.
eating them, I'm not going to lie, and they actually
Mhm.
don't have the worst nutritional score of the things that I
But th
tested.
and that already that way I know that you've got more to read out, and I can't wait to hear them,
Mm.
but isn't that interesting? Because that already brings in a level of balance that you need to figure out when you're in, this is the thing that extends your supermarket shopping time, because you're like, do I buy these because you know that nutritionally they're good for you?
Yeah.
Or do you try and seek out something that has a lower UPF, but actually nutritionally, but who would have thought that a prawn cracker would actually be potentially less harmful
I
to you?
know. It's
And
actually bizarre. And the
it's
prawn cracker does
yeah,
have a higher, like, well, it's like higher in terms of it's like not got as much ultra processing, but it's got a much lower nutritional value. So I do agree that's a really difficult one. I guess what you try and
yeah,
do is aim for things that have got a high nutritional value, but that still are not registering on that, like don't have any ultra processed ingredients in them. But
yeah.
I
But
guess
I mean,
sometimes it's a bit of a toss up.
yeah, it's the extent of label reading, isn't it? It's kind of really trying to figure out, the noodles that you can get that have the fewest of those things in them. But it's going to be unavoidable, isn't it? Surely, in this day and age,
Yeah.
if you supermarket shop particularly, but even if you don't, it's going to be really hard. I mean, my butcher sells other stuff other than just meat, right? It sells things in jars, things in packets.
Mhm.
Like, even if you did that kind of shop local, you're going to be picking stuff up that has stuff in it that you don't know. Anyway, carry on.
No.
What else did you discover in
Well,
your
the
kitchen?
most shocking thing, it wasn't shocking because I scanned this on purpose because I knew it was very likely to be ultra processed, but I wasn't expecting it to be quite this bad. The
Mm,
lowest score I got was my favorite crispy chili oil. It's Laugan Ma crispy chili oil, a Chinese
mm.
chili oil that I believe is a bit like Uncle Ben's, based around like a fake grandma. It's got like a sort of fake grandma on it. Makes it seem wholesome, but is actually like a factory produced chili oil. It's so good. It's so addictive. Now we know why. Because and I put this on most sort of pan Asian things, like any sort of stir fry or noodle soup or like thing I'm making.
Mhm.
That came up with 7% in terms of its like nutritional overall,
Oh,
like
that
out of
okay.
100%.
Oh, so that's quite low, yeah.
So very, very low. It had an
Mm.
E for nutritional quality,
Oh,
and it comes up with having 2 ultra processed food markers, uh, and they are flavor enhancer. Suspicious.
is that MSG?
I think it might be different because MSG comes up separately as additive E621 monosodium glutamate. I think that's MSG.
Oh god.
Which again is a complicated one because I think MSG is ultra processed. It isn't good for
Yes.
you and it is incredibly high in sodium. And so to eat in high quantities is not good. And it has given me a bit of a wake up call that I probably should not be pouring this chili oil over everything that I eat. But I know that it is also like there's a lot of rumors about MSG as well being like
Yes.
unsafe for you, or and I think it's legal and safe in this country. It's not
Yeah.
like going
Yeah.
to immediately kill you or anything. But obviously does come up as an ultra processed food, and long-term eating of it is probably not a great idea. So very gutted about that. I wasn't expecting it to be like, oh
I
yeah,
get that,
Laugamar
yeah.
chili oil is actually equivalent to having 2 bananas or something,
But
but
it's interesting that you've chosen 3 ingredients that I don't know. I mean, yeah, only one of them I would have said, "Oh, yeah, that's the prawn crackers," right? And that's not come out worst. So I find it's it's very interesting, and I can see how it's one of those ones. It's a bit like when we were talking about relationships with food and eating earlier on the big pod. We talked about that, and I think this is one of those things that I think we have to be so careful because it can really send us into a spiral.
mm,
I mean, I also know people that have an app that does something very similar, and I think you can use those apps and it can be helpful to make little swaps. And in fact, there's a couple of people I follow on Instagram who do supermarket swaps to kind of aid our choices. And she would say, for instance, it's better to buy a pack of frozen veg than a can of tinned veg if you're going to get something that could be kept for a while. Or so she does kind of quite kind of
mhm.
cost effective swaps
Yeah.
and things like that, whilst kind of
Frozen veg
educating.
is still an unprocessed food, I believe. For some reason, something about the frozenness makes you think, oh, but
Yeah,
that does come up in that category one of
it does it.
unprocessed or yeah.
Whereas as soon as you can it, I think that anyway, you could be sort of
Mhm.
removing some of the nutrients. But I know that she does some very careful things of kind of weighing up the balance of cost and environmental impact, and as well as the kind of the UPF sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you could see how you could so easily spiral by just sort of going,
100%.
oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what can I possibly buy then? Because I've seen people point out things like porridge oats, particular kinds of porridge oats, as
Mm.
being processed. And of course, porridge oats are processed, but like it's a bit like your chili oil. Like if you're using that to season food that is kind of 70% vegetable based,
Yeah.
and
It will
you're
be normally like veg, tofu, rice. I will probably have like a sauce in there, which let's not even go there on what's in there. But like, yeah, it will generally be like I consider myself someone who eats quite healthily,
mm. Yeah,
but
so I mean, I put salt on a lot of food, and I know I shouldn't. Salt is a processed food, right?
it's yummy.
But it's yummy. But it enables me to eat more of I have a big whopping great salad at lunchtime, which is mostly vegetable based, and tuna and lentils and
All good
seeds. And,
things.
I have all these good things, but I put olive oil and salt on it every single time. And that helps me eat all this stuff.
Yeah, and
And
also you do need those things. Like olive oil is a healthy fat that consumed in moderation is good for inflammation, it's good for your joints, it's good for you. And same with salt. Like you need salt presumably, right, to replenish your electrolytes and to
yeah, I don't think you need added salt, which I think
Oh, I
that's where
see.
I come a cropper. But
Oh,
olive oil,
I do be adding salt.
yeah, oh yeah. Olive oil, like where does that come? That's processed, right?
I think that came under the category hang on, let me try and find it because I mentioned it, didn't I? It comes under category 2 of having processed ingredients.
Okay. Yeah, and I bet you can find olive oil that is category 3 as well.
Yeah, I think you
Like
can. I think actually anything that is labeled olive oil. I remember learning about this when we did an anti-inflammatory food magazine. That
mm,
I think anything that's labeled olive oil is actually always one to be a little bit suspicious of, because often that means that the refinement process of that oil will involve heat or chemicals. Whereas I think what you want to avoid, what you want to try and get is like cold pressed,
cold
chemical
pressed.
free olive oil, which
Yeah.
is extra virgin olive oil, which is a million times more expensive.
10
So
quid a bottle. Yes,
yeah,
it is.
exactly. It is a constant minefield, and it is like I don't think it is the fault of the consumer, as you said, and I don't
Mm.
even know whether it is the fault of the giant companies. I think it does come down to like food ministers or whatever, and how and the cost of living, and generally how
Yeah.
expensive it's become to buy fresh, wholesome, unprocessed ingredients to create things. Like our lifestyles are just not symbiotic with that in any way anymore. No one is having time, as we said, to come home
No.
and make a full lasagna from scratch and roll out their egg freshly made egg based pasta. And
Yeah.
like, we're all using things that have made our lives quicker, and on the other hand have given us the ability to do other things like exercise more. And like, so I
Yeah.
do think that it
Yeah.
is a balance, and I don't think that convenient foods are evil, but I'm going to try and be a little bit more conscious. I'm going to use my little barcode scanning app, and I'm going to see where it takes me.
Yeah, again, I see, you know what, because I have a sort of I do occasionally worry about my history with my relationship with food and measuring and control and stuff. And so I wouldn't get the app on that basis, because I just
Yeah.
think that it would lead to spiral. But what doesn't, for some reason, spiral me is following that lovely woman on Instagram. I'll put a link to her actually in the
Stick
show
her in
notes.
the show notes.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
can't remember her name. Because what I love about her is it feels very achievable, and she will give me 10 swaps that I can do in Tesco's and 10 swaps I can do in Sainsbury's that feel
Mm.
financially achievable and kind of holistically achievable. And it was because of her that I got, is it right? You all know the pronunciation. Crostamolica, is that right?
Oh, croste mollica. Please tell me that they are good.
They
And
are
she
good.
and she gives them a big thumbs up because
Yeah.
those pizzas, those breadsticks,
The breadsticks.
mamma
Brilliant.
mia.
Yeah.
I'm a
So they are now, I think, well known for their pizzas having like really good sourdough bases and then like 3 ingredients on top. So they are the ones that I always get the kids now rather than the kind of supermarket own brand ones. And yeah, and I've made, and in terms of bread as well. So I've had to really sort of think about, we have had to really think about our bread intake because of Dave and cholesterol and things like that. And so we're buying a lot more Jasons. Have you seen Jasons in the
I
supermarket?
have heard everybody says that once you go Jason's,
Yeah.
you never go back.
Yeah, and we find that really hard because we're used to buying, actually, we like to get bread from our um, local deli. And actually we've shifted. So we do a little bit, but we do like getting this kind of, it it feels really weird to get pre-sliced bread when you're used to getting like proper loaves from the deli.
Yeah.
But we're getting this Jason stuff because you can get seeded sourdough, rye, all those sorts of things. And I feel slightly
3
better.
words I would associate you with straight away.
Right up my street, isn't it? But I actually feel better as a parent giving the kids white sourdough than rather than just white, because I think at least I'm giving them something that has kind of some kind of gut,
Yeah.
you know, nice things in there.
Yeah.
And I think that the ingredients list is quite short. And that was
Yeah.
another thing she really points out. Short ingredient lists are a big thumbs up rather than long and scary.
I think so. I think basically whenever you can, yeah, see foods that you or ingredients that you recognize and there aren't that many of them, then obviously
Mm,
the better. And that's why homemade is so good because you know where
yeah.
everything's coming from and you know what's going in and you recognize all of it and you know what it is. Um, I was going to say with bread as well. I do actually think that this conversation has changed my relationship with bread. That
Oh,
like I used to eat a lot of white bread like during lockdown, for example, like that would be my lunch. I would get a loaf of white bread and I would have a sandwich in white supermarket bread. And I think I was under some sort of false impression that like if it was crusty, then like it was really good for you, or you know,
yeah,
that it can't possibly be like ultra processed in any way. And I think that has really opened my eyes to that now. And I also will only get super seedy bread, or I'll get bread from our village shop gets in bread from the local bakery, which
yeah.
is good. I will say it does go off quite quickly, but
It does.
you
Do you know
know
what?
that that's because it's not full of a bunch of things keeping it
Yeah,
alive into the apocalypse.
it is absolutely true. And my the thing that I desperately try and do whenever, because Dave is the bread buyer and the kids are the bread eaters,
Mm.
and we just don't get through a loaf, particularly if it's one of those big round sourdough
Yeah,
things.
same with
And
us.
so to cut down on that immediately, as soon as we get a fresh loaf in, half of it gets cut into slices and put in the freezer, and the other half stays out
And is it
always.
as nice when you unfreeze it?
Yes, because if it's a great big chunk, you know how sourdough loaves are about 2 kilos, right? It's really, really heavy bread.
Mhm.
And you always need to toast it for about 4 toasts in order for it to toast properly. It's great for toast.
Yeah,
It's okay for sandwiches, you just need to defrost it kind of thing. But yeah, it's brilliant for toast. So we always have bread in the freezer. Always, always, always. So that's been kind of a new thing
that's
for us
lovely. I need to
to
start
reduce
doing
food
that as
waste.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it helps. It helps.
yeah. Well,
So
what would be
are you
your
oh, go
mm,
on. Go
what
on.
I
You
was
go
gonna say,
first.
what would be your, like, parting bit of wisdom, but maybe what we're
Ah,
sort of acknowledging in this is that we don't have that much wisdom on this. I think we're still learning about it all, but I think the answer to the question of are we nuts for worrying about it is probably not,
I don't think we are
because
nuts for worrying about it, but I do
mm,
think that we have to take it with a pinch of salt, a
We
pinch
have to
of
take it with a
sodium
pinch of
alginate.
MSG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, because with all things that we eat, we could worry about this till the end of days. And like you said, we are so time poor and we are also poor. So we have to make the changes where we can. And I think that there are plenty of places on the internet that can give you a bit of guidance as the best and easiest swaps you can do. I think, like, for instance, I don't buy anything other than organic milk. I always buy it because of something I read online about if you're going to have something organic, this is the thing you should have,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So I do that. I don't know if it makes any difference. I barely drink any. So that's really, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have any takeaways apart from, yeah, I am going to try to be better, to try, and because I also I snack. I love my snacks, and the kids eat lots of snacks, and so I have a kind of double worry there. And I am going to try to be better to seek out pre-packaged ones with fewer ingredients, and
Mhm.
also maybe if I can put an apron on at any point, making them. That sort of thing. That's what I will pledge to do as a result of
Yeah.
this. What about
Love
you?
that. Yeah, I think mine is also making more things at home. Like I I do quite a lot of home cooking. Like I'm not I guess apart from getting in the old tubular udon noodles that are covered in something weird. Like I do make most of my meals and most of my lunches and things,
Mm.
but snacks is a big one that like I will definitely fall foul of the whole like picking up something because it says it's healthy or high protein
Yeah.
or whatever. And I know that probably I would be quite shocked if I scanned the labels on some of those things. I
Mm.
never ever thought that I would be a person who could be asked to do this, but I'm wondering whether I should do like make on a Sunday a load of like fruit, nut, dark chocolate little bites or something, make them myself, have them in the cupboard for the rest of the week, and then snack on something
Yeah.
where I know where it's come from. I know what all the ingredients are and will probably be just as lovely and satisfying as some little thing that I've bought from the corner shop.
Let's try and do that then. And
Let's
I
try.
think you guys shouldn't worry about it unnecessarily. Absolutely not. I think because as I said right at the beginning, there is so much noise about food and there are so many different things that you can worry about when it comes to food. I
Yeah.
mean, we haven't even touched on kind of like, what you read in the nutritional kind of information on the back. So there's so much to worry about, and yeah, along with UPFs, you're worrying about the free rangeness, the environmental impact, the all of this sort of stuff. I think you make the changes where you can, and
Yeah.
and you don't berate yourself for not being able to in many, many instances,
Mhm.
because, we live in a time of convenience, and the convenience is there for a reason. It's meeting a demand.
Yeah.
We don't have the time
Mm.
to be, doing all these things. But yeah, let's give it a go. A small few easy swaps, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's not, yeah, like you said, I guess let's not beat ourselves up about it too much because there is a lot to juggle here. Avoiding
Mm.
ultra processed foods, but also trying to eat healthily, trying to eat protein first, trying to eat like all
Yeah.
of this stuff is, yeah, it is a lot of noise, isn't it? And I think
Mm.
we need to give ourselves a bit of grace. But um, yeah, I probably
Mm.
also need to cut back on the crisps. God, life's
What?
bleak.
But didn't you say that peanuts were like they were 3, not 4?
There are 3. And I also read that, like, basically, annoyingly, the more flavor that's in things, the more likely they are to be a 4. So, like, if you are gonna have crisps, have a ready salted crisp rather than a Dorito because it's
Okay.
covered in a lot less of those sort of flavory powders. Gotta say, I love a ready salted crisp sometimes.
I love a ready salted crisp.
Yeah.
Favorite kind. Yeah,
So you can
absolutely.
still give yourself joys. And I think if
Mhm.
I definitely was at a point a few years ago where lots of this food really felt like a reward for me. And I would feel like I was being really mean to myself by denying it.
Mm.
And I know that lots of you listening are already further down your health journeys than me and don't need to be told this. But for anyone who is like, I can't stop eating crisps, I love them too much and it feels really hard. I think you totally can get there by giving yourself other lovely ways to reward yourself and remind yourself that like food shouldn't really necessarily be a reward quite like that. Like it's
Yeah.
especially something that actually is in the long run not really replenishing your body and doing you loads of good. And there are lots and lots of other lovely ways to be kind to yourself that
Mhm.
don't involve eating crisps. That was a bit deep, but I just feel like that was a bit of a rut that I was stuck in a few years ago. And if anyone's listening, it is a bit
Oh
shit,
god, yeah.
and
It
but
is
you
shit.
can
Yeah.
get out of it.
It's a tough one. It's a tough
Yeah.
one. To stop viewing food as kind of as having an emotional link. That
Yeah,
is good food, that is bad food, that is,
it's
food.
really hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's really
Really
hard.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
We've
Oh
got
well.
this. Our poor sweet little bodies don't know what it is a reward or a punishment to us. They're just like, please give me the nutrients that I need so that I can keep ticking along. So
Yeah, yeah.
let's try and do right by them.
Yeah, and have the
Yeah.
occasional tubular noodles.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm probably gonna go and have a big biscuit now, which is ultra processed.